It seems that public awareness of disabled people is growing. People are becoming more aware of just how many people with disabilities there are around. You've probably noticed things like disabled parking signs, handicap license plates, HandiCar, one public transportation system for disabled, ramps for wheelchair access, and signs indicating that a building or restroom is accessible to a person with a mobility impairment. 1 in every 10 people has a temporary or permanent mobility impairment. Recent legislation has helped increase public awareness of the rights and needs of disabled people. These laws require that disabled people have access to education in the most integrated setting. That simply means right alongside everyone else.
Even today, our service systems tend to remove and isolate disabled people. These people are looked at as different. There's a tendency to lump all disabilities into one category, different, therefore requiring different and separate services, or perhaps no services, no contact with the mainstream, because after all, these people have no contribution to make. Well, this is a pretty extreme view, but it's not uncommon. This kind of reaction probably comes from fear, anxiety, ignorance, and the avoidance that results from these things. It's easiest to just not deal with disabled people. What's the first thing we notice on first contact with another human being? Well, it's appearance, the way someone looks. When a person's appearance is different and we see something we've never or seldom experienced before, most of us react emotionally. Well, this is natural. It's part of our fight or flight reaction, and that's just a name for a built-in response we all have. A threatening situation may make us run away or fight to protect ourselves. We expect variety among people, but we expect it to stay within a certain range. Getting to know someone with a visible disability requires getting beyond the initial visual cues to discover the person. What we need to remember is that a disabled person is a human first.
How do you react when you first meet someone with a mobility impairment? How would you expect and want people to react to you if suddenly you were confined to a wheelchair, or had to use canes or crutches, or had difficulty getting around because of an orthopedic impairment?
Hey, I want to show you these things I just installed in my car. They're called hand controls, and they enable me to drive and to function out in the normal society. This here is the device for braking and accelerating. Pushing forward is for the brake, and down towards the seat is the gas. And then I have a dimmer switch right here for the headlights. My specialty is orthotics and prosthetics. I'm an orthopedic technician right now, and we make special devices for the disabled, you know, whether it's braces or artificial limbs. And the question often comes up, you know, since their disability doesn't allow them to drive, what adaptations can be made to their cars? And this is just one of them.
Basically, my paintings here are a hobby. I'm involved so much in school and other activities that I really can't devote enough time that I could develop, you know, a defined talent for it. Well, when I am interested in is cartoons, and one of my little cartoons I like drawing is my disabled deputy cartoon, and that shows me in my wheelchair towing away a car from the handicap zone, and a little caption will read like, another violator bites the dust. That's my phone.
These students are not unusual in terms of people in general who have mobility impairments. They are people like you and me doing things they are interested in and enjoy.
Gentlemen, very fine performance.
Let's take a closer look at going to school. What factors are involved that non-disabled people are generally not aware of?
Well, right now I'm in my third semester at the Pima Community College. I'm just right now basically taking my liberal art courses. I'm enrolled in humanities and a independent study course in anthropology. I'm generally most like any other student in my class, except I do have a note taker who takes my notes for me. Usually when I'm in a new class, I'll stay after and I'll explain to the teacher that they kind of flip out when I tell them that I do type and write with my mouth. They kind of think it's unbelievable. I guess they take for granted that my homework is done by the note taker or someone who types my papers for me. I'm a quadriplegic. I've severed my spine at the C5 level, which is about opposite your Adam's apple. I have little use of my upper torso. I'm able to lift my arms up, to feed myself, and to drive my wheelchair here. I have feeling that runs down along the inside of my arms, basically almost down to my hands, and no feeling from about my nipples down. I have no use of my hands, so basically everything I have to do is with my mouth as far as my schoolwork and my artwork. I guess I've kind of lucky in a way, and some people might think it's strange to look at it, but I've had an experience to experience both sides of life, two sides of the coin. I spent 20 years on my feet, and then June 2nd, 1977, I had my accident, and I was in a wheelchair, and I look at it where I've been very lucky. I've had a second chance at life.
Normal routines for most people can be time-consuming tasks for disabled people.
Are they out there?
Mm-hmm. Coming. I'll be right with him.
Okay.
Karen, another Pima Community College student, relies on HandyCar, a public transportation system for the disabled. HandyCar is an asset to those who don't have their own transportation or simply can't drive to school or work. Unfortunately, there are disadvantages to using HandyCar. Pickup times are variable, and rides can be very long when several people must be dropped off at different destinations. stairs and doors pose architectural barriers to people in wheelchairs. Even when a building is accessible, a disabled student often needs more time to get from one place to another. When planning field trips or special assignments, it's important to keep accessibility in mind.
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Jeff.
How you doing?
Okay. What's been happening?
Just going to school, regular stuff.
Support services provided by the college help to minimize barriers to education and promote integration.
Well, I was wondering if the
Faculty and staff should know about these services. You have already seen note-taking. Faculty can often arrange note-taking for the needy student simply by asking for volunteers and choosing a good student to help out. Note-taking is of great importance to the disabled student. If the note-taker is not in class, the student may lose important information and be worrying about how he or she is going to function in that class. Often disabled students need a mobility assistant to help them get around campus or do classwork. The assistant acts as the student's arms or legs, but does not replace the student's brain. Some students need assistance in test taking, perhaps because they are unable to write or write very slowly. Karen is able to write, but very slowly, and it takes a lot of effort. A classroom assistant can write the answers she gives him. This allows Karen more time to concentrate and demonstrate her knowledge. Chris discusses aspects of advising, another support service available to disabled students. Perhaps her vantage point is unique because of her orthopedic impairment. Chris's speech may not be as clear as yours or mine. If you've had no experience listening to Chris, she may be difficult to understand at first. If you need the practice, put some effort into listening to Chris. You may be better able to communicate later on with a student who has similar difficulty speaking because of cerebral palsy or any other reason.
Faculty and staff should be aware of that a mobility impaired student will be having assistance in what is called instructional supportive services, such as mobility assistant, classroom assistant, note-taking assistant. This is to give the students that equal opportunity to be integrated into an educational institutional system such as PCC.
The advisor for mobility impaired students can help in a number of ways. When a student registers, the advisor helps check out the location of classes, given the fatigue factor of that individual.
Roger, I like the courses you pick for yourself, but I noticed that you have only 10 minutes to get from CBS to the relocatable. Is that gonna be, are you gonna be able to do that?
Well, I might be able to, but it'd be very, hard.
I think there's another question. the same course, but it's taught a little bit later that could put in your schedule. You want to try it?
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay.
The advisor can help a student make decisions about the program he should go into.
I evaluate the skills and the abilities that the student have in making a decision of what vocational program they're going into. Richard, you told me at one time you were interested in the computer field.
Yes, more or less.
Rich, do you know that when you take that course, you will be working with a terminal?
Yes. And if I do it with a pencil, eraser part of a pencil, push no problem.
Okay, do you want to see how you will do by using a pencil?
Sure.
Richard, here is the Apple computer.
Yeah.
Now, how about trying out the keyboard and see how you
All
do?
right. Well, let's do my name. I'll do
Okay,
one
how
part.
about that?
Richard, R-I-C-H-A-R. Oops, no, yeah. D.
Okay, it looks like you're hitting more than one key.
Yeah, I am without that guard.
Okay, how about trying it with this pencil and
All
see
right.
how you do?
Okay. Yeah. That'll work a lot better.
It looks like it's working out for you.
Yeah, I did.
So I gather this is how you can do it in your class.
The advisor can be a facilitator for good things happening on campus related to the needs of disabled students.
I feel that the MI students need this type of course because it gives them a physical outlet that all of us need at one time or another. And they do seem to enjoy having this course. They're able to socialize with other disabled students and give each other the encouragement they need.
Go for it.
Help the student be open about things she or he can't do. At the same time, most attention should be given to what the person can do. A negative attitude about the student affects performance in class and perhaps ultimately success or lack of it in the field. Don't let your reaction be a personal barrier which interferes with the student learning from you.
The kind of instructor that I like is an instructor who's flexible. Not someone who's going to hand me anything, but is going to take my disability into consideration. I only want the grade that I deserve. If they have to give me a grade that I don't deserve just because I'm in the wheelchair, then it's totally wrong. As long as he's sensitive and aware of the different procedures that I have to go through as compared to a normal student turning his pages with his hands, me turning it with my mouth, me typing with my mouth. The effort that I really put into my schoolwork, I think that he would appreciate it more and have a better understanding.
If I could make a statement to any faculty or staff or just even to the students themselves, it would be to, treat me just like anybody else because I'm human. If you stick me, I bleed. If you hit me, I bruise. If you treat me bad, I'll cry. Just like anybody else. And, you give me the same opportunities as anybody else in the same situation would have, a normal person in the same situation. I can usually perform as well, sometimes even better.
Well, it just seems like the public has done a really good job of accepting people in wheelchairs or on crutches. But unless you have a visible sign, like a chair or crutch, they immediately think there's something wrong with your mind. And I'm here to say that ain't true.
If you should feel anxious on first meeting a disabled student, realize you are not alone in reacting that way. But get beyond that initial fear or avoidance and treat the student as a person first. Accept the person for what he or she is, a human being, just like you. Each person is an individual and has unique needs. Be ready to make accommodations that are fair for both the student and you. As a good teaching practice, it's not true that equal attention and time should be given to all students. People learn at different rates and in different ways. In fairness to the students, one may need more of your assistance than another. A disabled student potentially faces a number of barriers to education. One may be lack of accessibility. The ramp is too steep or the elevator is broken. There may be a lack of educational support services. No one to take notes, assist in classroom routines, or to advise the student about school programs. And the student may face personal barriers when attitudes get in the way of teaching and interacting. Our responsibility as faculty and staff under law is to ensure that the disabled student can get the education that he or she is entitled to.